Welcome once again. This is Ed Reiner with your daily dose of mind stuff. We are on day 21 of this 100-day journey that we're on together with the things that I'm studying on a daily basis. So we're going to continue on with the paradigm shift. And today, Bob is going to go ahead and discuss an important they're all important, but an important aspect and idea of the things that you need to know on your way to your goals, on your way to wealth, success, whatever it is that you are looking at achieving. So let's go over to Bob and we'll be back in a moment.
If you want to create wealth. And I'm not going to give you a brain hernia. This is really simple stuff. One, you've got to know where you are. Two, you've got to know where you're going. And then you got to get moving. This is where I am. That's where I'm going. You can know where you're going. If you don't know where you're at, it won't do you any good. Let's suppose you jump out of a plane and shoot safely to Earth. It's overcast, can't see the stars. You know you're on the North American continent, that's all you know. You don't know where you are. Your objective is to get to Nacogdoches, Texas. What way are you going to start walking? You wouldn't know. You could be in Atlanta and start to head towards Philadelphia. You can be in Seattle and start toward Vancouver. You see, you can know where you're going. If you're not honest to yourself where you're at, you're wasting your time. You've got to know where you're at. And you've got to know where you're going, and then you've got to get moving in that direction. It is so simple and so obvious, you have to ask yourself, why, if that's all why are so many people stuck? And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people stuck. Well, for a long time, I would have said, there's what's missing. Don't have a goal. Got to have a goal. I've had a goal and had it on a card for many, many years, ever since I started to read Think and Grow Rich. You got to have a goal. But you know, I've changed my attitude. I think now I'm pretty articulate about my goal. I've got it written out and got a clear picture of it. You might not have done that, but I think we could say there's something you want. You've never written it out, you've not really been very articulate about it, but there is something you want, so we could say that would constitute the goal. That's not the problem. That is not the problem. Here's the problem right here. It's where you're at. Most people really don't know. Do you know what you do? Do you know why you do it? Do you know how you do it? Do you know how often you do it? Can you see where this is really controlling your life? This is really important. There's the problem right there, the paradigm. Because if you want something more than you've got to give more than you're giving. You've got to do more than you're doing. And you start doing that, you'll move ahead like a rocket. No one knows what you're capable of doing. There isn't one soul alive that knows what you're capable of doing, and that includes you. We're dealing with infinite potential. We've got power within us that, you know, it goes beyond the scope of our imagination. I was talking about the Chicken Soul for the Soup books. Mark has just put out a new book with his wife, Crystal, and it's called Ask. That's it. Ask. That's the name of the book. And it's the bridge that'll take you from where you are to your destiny. Now, that book will probably sell a few million copies. Ask. That's what most people don't do. They don't ask. They don't ask for enough. When you take a look and think, all I have to know is where I am and where I'm going, and then realize that very few people have this down. Very few people, maybe 5 people out of 100. 95 out of 100 have not got this figured out. The paradigm is controlling them, literally controlling them. It's not the opportunity's there. Now, this is a black and white deal. There's no gray matter here. It doesn't matter how hard you work. It doesn't matter how many hours you put in. If the paradigm does not change, ultimately, the results will remain much the same 1 year from the next. The end of December, there's all kinds of people looking at the results, and it's almost identical to the previous year. I have sat in many executive offices because I've sold a zillion corporations in my life. And I'd sit down with the VP of sales. And I'd say, give me the names of 2 people, first names, that you're familiar with in your company. Well, maybe Betty and Harry. He knew that their last names were. I said, you know, he would ask me, what are you going to do to help us? I said, you know what those people are going to be doing in July of this year? You can go into memory and you can predict where they're going to be in July or in October. Here we are, it's in January, but you know what those people, where they're going to be, where their sales will be a few months from now. What do you mean? I said, their sales aren't going to change very much. You go into memory in your computer and you'll be able to tell me. And you know damn well you can do that. And he said, that's true. And I said, when you go to set goals for the year, what you do is you look at your history. And you let the history dictate then what the increase is going to be. You say, well, maybe 5 to 10% increase. Because why would you do that? Have you any idea what the hell you're doing? How many people would call on a VP of a big company and level with them like that? You know why? They're not confident enough. But I am. Because I know what I'm talking about. Now, if you took me into an engineering office and they're talking about the engineering, I say, about that, I don't know. I don't know my ass on page 9 when I get in there. That's why a person should stick to their knitting and get better at it all the time. And I've done that for 60 years. But you know and I know that we let our history dictate where we're going. That's a dumb game. That doesn't make any sense at all. Why the hell would we do that? It's our paradigm. We've been always doing that.
Okay. So, 2 things that we have to know. Where we are, where we're going. And as Bob mentioned, the biggest problem is in the paradigm. Because, like he said, a lot of people have an idea of where they want to go. They might not have it articulated and have a mental image as well as Bob does or did or someone else. And they may know kind of where they're at, but what he's talking about is that paradigm. We have to know where we are as far as the paradigm that's controlling us. And it's hard to be honest with ourselves with things like this, because he says you can look year after year. And this is something, when I first started studying this stuff, this holds true, because for years I could do this. I could look at my results at the end of the year, and they were the same as the year before. I was missing that piece of the paradigm. I had the goal where I wanted to go, I was doing things to try to get me there. They weren't consistent, but I felt like I was working really hard trying to get towards that goal. But I wasn't changing the paradigm. And that's the key. In order to shape our futures, the paradigm must be changed. And as Bob was just saying, that, people will look at their results of what they did last year, and that's how they'll set their goals. And seeing what we're doing when people do that, what we're doing is we're looking at our results, of where our results are. We're using our physical senses, our sight, looking at the bank account, whatever it is. We're using our sensory factors. We can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. Those are what we've been gifted with to correspond with our outside environment. So we're looking at our present results, and based off of where we are with our present results, that's causing us to feel a certain way. That's the subconscious, the emotional part of the mind. And that sets up our body to act in a way that's going to produce more of the same. So year after year, we keep getting the same results. Week after week, month after month, year after year. We could go our whole lives doing that. So what we're going to get into is, as we start to change the paradigm, what we start doing is, instead of looking at our results, we start thinking into results. We start thinking and originating a thought of where I want to go. We build that image of where I want to go, okay? And we base everything off of where I want. We turn those sensory factors off. We realize where we're at, we see it, and we don't give it any more thought, and we focus on, where do I want to go? What do I want to be? What do I want to have? And we live from there. So we start thinking, we build that image. That image, then, when we get emotionally involved with it, sets up the feelings, which changes our behavior. And that's what our paradigm is a multitude of our habits, our behavior. So that behavior starts to change. We're changing the paradigm now. And that behavior then is going to create the results that we want. And then once we have those results, we can look at those results and build a bigger and better image. And now we're thinking into results versus letting our results control our thinking. So, powerful lesson on paradigms and the two things that we need to know in order to get us where we want to go. So I hope you're liking these. If you're getting value from this, leave me a comment, share it, like it. Get your friends to come over and join me live if you're watching the replay. I'd love to hear comments from you. I can interact with you as we go. But we're going to call that a wrap on this lesson. And I will see you on day 22 of 100 on the Daily Dose of Mind Stuff. This is Ed Reiner. Thanks for joining me. Peace. God bless.